Ever feel like you're chasing those fitness goals, but also like really value a good night's sleep?
Yeah, like trying to find that balance, right?
Exactly. You're not alone. Today, we're tackling a question we've heard a lot. Can you boost your performance with creatine without sacrificing sleep? We're diving into the science, separating fact from hype.
We're going to explore whether creatine actually affects sleep, and if so, how. Plus, we'll equip you with practical tips based on the latest research so you can optimize your creatine use.
We're using excerpts from Does Creatine Affect Sleep? Uncover the Truth from muscletheories.com. You probably know creatine is linked to athletic performance, muscle building,
Right, classic games.
but it's also praised for boosting brain power.
It's true. Creatine isn't just for gym regulars anymore. Whether you're hitting personal bests or just trying to sharpen your mental edge, the potential benefits are pretty exciting.
Okay, so we know creatine can be a game changer, but what about sleep? We all know how crucial a good night's rest is, especially if you're pushing yourself physically or mentally.
Absolutely. And our source dives into why sleep is so essential. It all comes down to two key players: your circadian rhythm, which is like your internal body clock, and then your homeostatic sleep drive, basically. The longer you're awake, the stronger your body's urge to sleep gets.
Right, like building up a sleep debt, you eventually have to pay back.
Exactly.
But it's more than just feeling tired, right?
Oh, absolutely. Our source explains how different sleep stages impact everything from muscle recovery to mental clarity. Deep sleep is where the magic happens for muscle repair and growth hormone release.
Oh, yeah, that's the good stuff.
Right. And in the lighter stages, they act like a reset button for your brain.
So we need a good balance of both.
Definitely.
But that brings us to the big question. Does creatine throw a wrench into all this intricate sleep machinery?
Well, the research is surprisingly mixed.
Mm.
Some studies suggest creatine users might actually function well on less sleep.
Wait, seriously. Less sleep thanks to creatine? That's pretty wild. Tell me more.
Okay, so one study mentioned in our source found that rats, given creatine, needed less recovery sleep while still performing well. Of course, we can't jump to conclusions about humans just yet.
Of course not. We're not rats.
Right, exactly. But it definitely sparks some intriguing questions.
So could creatine be the key to unlocking shorter, more efficient sleep? That would be a game changer. But what about those studies that suggest potential downsides to sleep? What did they find?
Yeah, so the research isn't all, perfect, unfortunately. Some studies show creatine might actually, like, mess with how long you spend in those crucial sleep stages.
Oh, really? So like less of that deep sleep we were talking about.
Potentially, yeah. And that could lead to less deep restorative sleep.
Yeah.
This could leave some people feeling less refreshed, even if they're getting the same number of hours.
Okay, so maybe not a totally free pass to cut sleep time in half then, but still fascinating. So how does creatine even play a role in our sleep cycles? Like what's going on at a, I don't know, biological level?
Well, one theory is that it comes down to creatine's impact on energy levels. Remember, ATP, the body's energy currency.
Yeah.
Creatine boosts that ATP production even in our brains.
So it's like giving your brain a jolt of like premium fuel.
Exactly.
Does that mean our brains might simply need less downtime if they're running on that creatine-powered energy?
That's one possibility. Our source highlights studies where people taking creatine actually showed improved cognitive function, even on less sleep.
Wow, it almost sounds too good to be true.
Right.
But hold on, before anyone starts ditching their alarm clocks, what are the long-term implications? Can we like hack our way to peak performance with less sleep, indefinitely? Or is that a recipe for burnout?
That's the million-dollar question. And honestly, we need more research to say for sure. This is where individual experiences really come in. The source mentions that some users report feeling restless or experiencing like more frequent awakenings after taking creatine, especially if they take it close to bedtime.
Interesting. That seems to align with what we know about sleep cycles. It's all about finding that rhythm between like energy and rest, right?
Yeah, finding that balance.
So if someone's listening and they want to try creatine, but they're also concerned about, protecting their sleep, what advice would you give them based on what we're learning here? Okay, so we've uncovered some pretty fascinating stuff about creatine and sleep. It seems like timing might be a crucial factor here. What do you think?
Definitely. Remember how we were talking about how creatine can boost your brain's energy?
Yeah, like giving it that premium fuel.
Right. So taking creatine too close to bedtime might give your brain that extra boost when it should be, winding down for sleep.
Yeah, kind of like that late night coffee we all know we should probably skip.
Exactly.
So when is the the sweet spot for creatine timing, asking for a friend who may or may not be guilty of late-night gym sessions.
Our source suggests aiming for earlier in the day, ideally morning or early afternoon. That gives your body plenty of time to, like, metabolize the creatine before you hit the hay.
Makes sense. What about dosage? Should everyone just follow the instructions on the label, or is there more to it?
That's where things get interesting. Our source really stresses the importance of listening to your body and finding what works best for you individually.
Yeah, that makes sense. One size fits all doesn't always apply, right?
Exactly. Start with a lower dose than recommended, see how you feel, and then you can gradually increase it if needed. And pay close attention to how your sleep is affected.
So it's like becoming your own sleep detective, tracking those subtle cues and patterns.
Yes. Our source even suggests keeping a sleep journal or using a tracking app.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Log things like your creatine intake, sleep duration, how many times you wake up, how rested you feel in the morning. You'd be surprised how much you can learn from that data.
Data-driven sleep. I love it. Okay, so we've got timing, dosage, and tracking. Anything else our listeners should keep in mind as they kind of explore this whole world of creatine?
Oh, one final thought, and this is key. Everyone responds differently to supplements, right?
Oh, for sure.
What works wonders for one person might not work for another. If you're noticing persistent sleep disruptions, even after, experimenting with your creatine routine, it's always a good idea to consult with a healthcare professional.
Solid advice. So to sum it up for our listeners, it seems like creatine does have the potential to impact sleep, but it's not necessarily a sleep saboteur.
Right.
With a little self-awareness, some self-experimentation, maybe a sleep tracker app on your phone, you can potentially unlock those performance benefits without sacrificing a good night's rest.
Well said. Finding that sweet spot between maximizing performance and prioritizing rest is key. And understanding how creatine affects your individual sleep patterns is a big part of that.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll leave you with something to ponder. If creatine can truly allow some people to thrive on less sleep, what does that mean for our understanding of sleep itself? It's a question researchers are still exploring, and it just goes to show how much we're still learning about the fascinating connection between our bodies, our brains, and of course, a good night's sleep.